Hello and welcome to the Gothic Unicorn. Now recently, hopefully recently, I made a video on making miniature wreaths, and what normally happens when I'm making a video that's like that is that as I go along more ideas emerge, and so I sort of run out of time because I can only fit so much in a video before it becomes too long that nobody will watch it. So I had planned in that video to make a little bonus project, which was to make a wreath using wire and beads, and it didn't happen. But what I decided was that I would make the video and then I would release it to my Facebook page once I reached 100 followers on Facebook, which, you know, isn't a lot, I know, but for me it would be quite an achievement. So yeah, if you're watching this, I've reached 100 on Facebook and counting, hopefully. For this beaded wreath we are going to need beading wire, and this is a 28 gauge beading wire that I'm using, and we're going to need some beads. Now in the first place I'm going to be using some gemstone chips, and these are chips of amethyst. I chose to use these when I made the original piece that's inspired this because it's crystals and it was for my witch. And we are literally going to need some tiny pieces. I don't know if the camera will focus on that enough, but you can see that is quite small between my fingers. And we're going to make a little wreath. I've begun this by threading a bead onto the wire and bending the wire over and twisting it at the end so that this bead becomes a stop. Now I'll thread another one on. I've got ready here, and I'm going to thread that all the way down to there, and I'm going to bend it over again, and I'm going to twist that one so that now I've got a little string with two beads attached. Now if you watched my Witch's Cottage exterior video, this is quite simply the same basic technique that I use for making a beaded climber. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on with this until I've got a reasonable length of wire with gemstones on. Added quite a few pieces of amethyst to the wire, and now I'm going to form it into a wreath. Now I'm going to use a nail varnish bottle because it just happened to be the first thing that I'd got lying about my craft room that was about the size that I wanted. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fit the piece of wire around the neck of the bottle, and I'm going to wrap the wire that I've got hanging loose back around some of these. Now I've slid it off now that I've sort of shaped it, and I'm going to thread the wire through here and in and around the various stones to sort of tie it off. Once I'm happy that it's not going to go anywhere, I just trim off the excess of that. And fasten the rest of it back on itself. And so there we have, I'll move that out of the way, and if I can find something white to show you, that's better. We have a very simple beaded wreath. I'm going to show you how to do something else using some seed beads and some more wire. Now I'm using a fairly big seed bead here because it's easier to thread on, You can see I've got a nice little length there already, but you can use a smaller size like these should you prefer. Now I've continued adding beads to this wire until it's about 3 inches, just under 8 centimetres long. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the, scrooch it round, a very technical term there that doesn't really mean much, and I'm going to put the wire back through that first bead. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to join the wire through these and attach it into place. Now once this is fastened together, you have a slightly less than perfect circular wreath if that's what you want, or what you can also do is you can start to bend the wire, and if I can do this rightly, you can get something that is sort of what I would call a rustic heart shape. And there's my bit of paper again, and as you can see, you can make a beaded wreath in any different shape that you want. Now I should say this wire is actually a stronger wire than the one I used for the first one, which makes it a bit harder to manipulate, but it does mean that it keeps its shape a bit better. And there we have 2 little beaded wreaths. Now I hope you've enjoyed this extra little video from the Gothic Unicorn, that you'll consider subscribing to my channel over on Facebook, and I'll see you next time.